The remainder, Chris?
Right? 200. More than the first one. 220. Got another 253.8.
120 grand a day.
They got 3 pounds of gold there.
A 700-ounce week. More than anything.
Our season total is 7381.1 for the season.
Parker Schnabel recently struck it rich, discovering millions in gold at his Alaskan mine. Shockingly, he then decided to close off access to the site, sparking curiosity and speculation. If this bold decision will pay off is still in discussion. What could be so valuable that Parker felt the need to lock down his mine? Let us delve into Parker's incredible find that will reshape the gold mining industry forever. Parker Schnabel's bold start in Alaska. Parker Schnabel, only 16 years old, took over his grandfather John's gold mining spot up in Alaska. This was a huge step for Parker. He decided to invest $100,000 to buy a new area to dig in, hoping it was filled with gold. He couldn't have guessed how much this decision would change his life. Parker was really set on finding a big amount of gold in the Klondike area. To get as much done as quickly as possible, Parker split his crew, who were pretty new to the challenges of Alaska, into 2 groups. The first group, called the Wolf Cut Crew, went off to explore new spots, digging 30 feet down into untouched soil.
So we can get this ground thawing out, because right now, we're not making any money, we're just spending it.
They were looking for big amounts of good quality gold, but they knew it wouldn't be easy or quick. The second group, led by Mitch and Tyson, and known as the Drift Cut Crew, really needed to find a lot of gold fast to keep their mining operation going. They searched their mining area very carefully, hoping to find any small signs of gold that could lead to a huge reward. As the weeks went by, both teams worked non-stop with a lot of dedication. Parker's mining operation in Alaska turned into a race against time. The tension of finding gold was mounting, and people from all over the world were watching closely, waiting to see the results of Parker's bold move. Finally, the breakthrough happened. The Wolf Cut Crew, after many days of hard work, found a huge amount of gold. The soil that had been their biggest hope finally showed its hidden wealth. Parker's dream and his strong belief in it were finally rewarded. At the same time, the Drift Cut Crew also found gold, which meant they could now fund their entire operation. There was a lot of excitement as Parker's dreams started to become reality. The news of his success spread quickly, catching the attention of both gold enthusiasts and those who dared to dream of finding gold. Further into the wilds of Alaska, Parker, now an experienced gold prospector, discovered a massive gold deposit that could make everyone involved very rich. However, there was a problem. Parker's old gold processing machine, known as a wash plant, wasn't reliable anymore. Mark, the new leader of the crew, didn't like using rented machines because they often didn't work well.
You got our baby back in action?
Back up and rolling.
Their next step was to set up this wash plant and test it, even though it wasn't completely ready yet. For now, they were stuck using the rented machine. Despite this issue, Parker and his team were glad to see new faces around, hoping one of them might turn out to be an exceptional worker who could help them find a lot more gold. But there was also the chance that these new workers might not meet expectations. Another concern was that Mitch, one of Parker's best workers, was not there, which made their mining efforts even tougher. They needed to position the rented machine just right and see how well it worked. Parker was hoping that his new Red Rocket machine would be able to process at least 150 loads of dirt every hour. They had to carefully move a big metal tube, called the tailings conveyor, into place. Getting this right was crucial for the machine to function properly. It took a lot of effort and problem solving by the crew to get everything set up right. Finally, after all their hard work, the machine was ready to go. Parker made the decision to close off the area where they found the gold, allowing them to focus completely on extracting as much gold as possible from the ground. This could potentially lead to a huge payoff. 2 years after setting things up, Parker's mining site in Alaska was fully operational. This was a very important time for him because success here meant he could continue in the gold mining business for a long time. He was excited, but also nervous to see if all his hard work would pay off. His team had cleared nearly a mile of debris from an old mining area, and they were ready for their first test of how much gold they could get. They hoped to pull out an ounce of gold for every hour the machines ran, but there was a small hiccup. Their scale was meant for regular ounces. not the troy ounces used for gold. Nevertheless, they decided to go ahead with the weigh-in. After celebrating their big gold find, the team couldn't wait to see what other treasures lay hidden underground. A generous leader in the gold rush, Parker figured they needed about 435 grams of gold to reach their target of 14 ounces. When they weighed what they had, the scale showed 430 grams, just a bit short of 13.8 ounces, nearly hitting their goal. Even though they didn't reach 1 ounce per hour, the team celebrated their find of over $23,000. It was only the first hour after all, and they were eager to see what they could achieve in a full day. This was not just exciting for Parker, but for the whole of Alaska, as it was the biggest gold find in over 10 years. All their hard work was starting to show results. Parker was known for being good to his workers, but how generous would this young boss be in the future? That remained to be seen. With winter approaching, time was running out for Parker's crew to wrap up their tasks. Mitch, now leading the crew, had a huge amount of dirt to process. The machines were pushed to their limits. During all this rush, Mitch saw something special in Evan, a new young worker. Impressed by his enthusiasm, Mitch promoted him from truck driver to loader operator. Soon, they faced a new challenge when rocks got stuck in the cleaning system, stopping everything. To fix this, they brought in a big machine from Alaska called Big Red. It was powerful, but the crew was anxious because they hadn't found any gold yet, and they had already spent a lot of money. Determined to succeed, they quickly got Big Red up and running. It worked perfectly, cleaning a lot of dirt quickly. Parker and his team knew they had to keep pushing to turn their fortunes around. During a tough season of hard work, Parker Schnabel decided to show his crew just how much he valued their dedication by giving each member $122,000 in gold. This surprise gift made everyone incredibly happy and grateful. It was a clear sign that Parker really appreciated all the effort they put in and that their success was a team effort. But they soon hit a snag. Rocks started clogging up their machinery. Evan was the first to spot the problem, and they had to shut down their main machine, Big Red, a few times to clear out the rocks. Mitch, checking on the issue, realized that a screen inside Big Red was torn, allowing big rocks to slip through and cause jams. These jams not only slowed them down, but meant they could be losing out on gold. Mitch had to pull out these rocks himself, climb up, and replace the screen. A demanding task that required precision and experience. The rocks they were pulling out were sharp and tough, and considering the volume that Big Red processed, it was no surprise the screens wore out quickly. After removing the old screen, they installed a new one and made sure it was secure. The screen worked like a filter, letting the smaller, valuable bits, like gold, pass through while keeping out the disruptive large rocks. However, if the screen failed again, those big rocks could damage Big Red or cause them to miss out on more gold. Mitch and Tyson, focused on maximizing their gold haul, quickly fixed the screen to keep everything running smoothly. They took great care of their equipment, making sure everything was in top shape to help them find as much gold as possible. Every issue they resolved brought them closer to their ultimate goal of making millions from gold mining and having a hugely successful season. While dealing with these challenges, they discovered that rocks were also blocking the water flow in the sluice, stopping the gold from gathering. It turned out that the same broken screen was to blame. Fixing Big Red was a tough job, but they hoped it would run more smoothly from then on. Once Big Red was fixed, it was back to mining. The crew was thankful to Evan for noticing the rock blockage. His sharp eyes had saved them a lot of hassle. Mitch felt a lot of pressure as the leader, but was reassured by the trust his team had in him, grateful for such a big opportunity. With their first success, Parker and his crew faced new challenges that tested their skills and determination, fixing Big Red and celebrating success. After a lengthy struggle, they got Big Red working again. "Oh, here we go. It's fixed. Didn't do, but it's working now, so we'll roll with it," Mitch said, acknowledging that they needed to keep an eye on the super stacker. The machine quickly got back to work, showing that their efforts to fix it were worthwhile. Everyone was relieved to have Big Red operational again, and they focused on keeping it fed with dirt. With the entrance to the mine closed following their significant gold discovery, Parker's crew was determined to make the most of their mining season. They had managed to fix the block sluice in the screen, proving they could handle any challenges that came their way. As they continued to work, they were thankful for the opportunity and the trust they had been given. With Big Red back in action, their main goal was to extract as much gold as possible, knowing every bit they found brought them closer to their target. In a lighter moment, Mitch celebrated an amazing birthday. Parker and the crew wished him well, and then surprised him with an incredible gift, a gold ashtray valued at $122,000. Mitch was speechless, overwhelmed by such a lavish present. To keep spirits high, Parker jokingly said that maybe everyone would get gold ashtrays someday. They then celebrated Mitch for his crucial role in getting Big Red running again, showing their deep appreciation for his hard work. Later, it was time to see what Big Red could really do. The excitement was tangible as they hoped to discover a lot of gold. The machine found 51.6 ounces of gold worth $90,000, a substantial find that hinted at the potential for an even more profitable week, possibly reaching $500,000. Because of this success, Parker decided to restrict access to the mine for a while. This was a turning point in their mining efforts, and they were eager to continue finding more gold. As they moved forward, Parker and his crew would face various challenges, celebrate their victories, and keep mining as much gold as they could. The excitement didn't stop there. Another machine named Lucifer, which didn't have fancy meters, had been working hard and produced an impressive 210 ounces of gold during a cleanout. Now came the thrilling part, weighing Lucifer's gold. The crew watched nervously as the scale numbers climbed, 20, 40, 150, finally stopping at an astonishing 360.5 ounces. That was almost $600,000 worth of gold. The excitement was palpable, especially since Big Red, their primary machine, was expected to bring in even more. With Parker making a fortune and generously rewarding his crew, questions arose. What does this gold magnate do for fun? What's life like for him outside the mines? The crew knew there was more to Parker than just his expertise in mining. They were all chasing gold, but they also wondered what motivated Parker when he wasn't at the mine. Initially, Gold Rush focused on his grandfather John, with Parker starting as just another miner. But by the second season, John stepped back, and Parker took over, aiming to amass millions in gold. By 2020, Parker's net worth was estimated at $10 million, a testament to his success. However, some believe the show played a big role in his wealth. One fan even mentioned this on Reddit, and Parker seemed to agree, reflecting on how his life might have been different without the show. Being deeply involved in mining meant Parker missed out on some educational experiences, like developing sophisticated communication skills for the workplace. He had hoped to study mining engineering in college, a goal he might still pursue. Mining dominated much of Parker's time, so much so that it contributed to the end of his relationship with his girlfriend, Ashley Ewell. However, Parker did have some leisure time. When fans asked, he shared bits about his hobbies outside of mining, though he kept some details private. On Gold Rush, viewers saw Parker's passion for mining and his drive to be the best. The show was a significant part of his life, but he sometimes pondered other paths he might have taken and what he still hoped to achieve. Even with all the work and pressure, Parker managed to find time for things outside of mining, showing a different side of him. Parker Schnabel's life outside mining. Back in 2018, during an online chat, Parker Schnabel, a young and successful gold miner, talked about what he likes to do when he's not working. He mentioned that he enjoys going to London to see how his TV show, where he's the star, is put together. He likes to watch the editing process and catch up with his friends who work on the film crew. Besides that, Parker loves to travel, play in the snow, hang out with his dog, and get ready for the next season of mining. Because the filming schedule is usually so packed, taking time out for these activities feels like a refreshing break. During the chat, someone was curious about how Parker spends his money, noting that he doesn't seem to buy flashy cars or big houses. In response, Parker made a lighthearted comment about buying new bulldozers for mining, but shared that he doesn't have a permanent place to live yet, and is still figuring out where he wants to settle down. Even with all the success he's had, Parker comes across as very grounded, pretty much the same guy he was when he first started mining. Parker's effective mining methods make him an interesting person to follow. He has a special way of setting up his equipment so that all the dirt and rocks get caught up in the main part of the machine and nothing unwanted slips through. This not only keeps his operation clean, but also highly efficient, which is fascinating for anyone watching. Parker's passion for mining began when he was very young, learning from his grandfather, John Schnabel. John moved from Kansas to Alaska to start a new life, and even served in the military. He settled down, got married, and had 5 kids. After undergoing surgery in 1986, he took up gold mining to stay active and involved. John occasionally appeared on the show Gold Rush, and even worked with Parker at the mining site. In his later years, despite facing a tough battle with cancer, John showed incredible resilience. He managed to pull through a health crisis that had everyone worried about him, showcasing his strong will to keep going. Let's delve into John's earlier life a bit. After finishing high school in 1938, he started working at the Weyerhaeuser Timber Company. This job was part of his bigger plan to save up money for traveling and to learn valuable skills about running a sawmill. At the same time, his dad and brother James bought a sawmill in Haines and moved it to a new location at Jones Point, where they leased a 20-acre piece of land. They built a small cabin there and lived in it until 1947, trying to make it a cozy home. In March of 1939, John quit his timber job, boarded a ship called the Alaska steamship SS Yukon from Seattle, and set off for Haines. With a set of tools and just $38 in his pocket, he traveled in the basic steerage section of the ship. On the ship, John figured out he could work at each port unloading supplies for canneries, which helped him cover his travel costs and even save a bit more. By the time he reached Haines, though, he had to spend some of that hard-earned money to pick up a message at the post office, which left him broke. After World War II, in March 1946, John and his brother George returned to Alaska with big hopes for their mill business, especially since a new road had just linked Haines to the Alaska Highway. But when they got to Jones Point, where their mill was supposed to be, they found it destroyed by heavy snow. The situation worsened because Mr. Benson, the man who had leased them the land, had passed away. With no one to renew the lease with, John and George were hesitant to invest more money and effort without a guarantee. John decided to tackle the problem head on. He went to Juneau to speak with a legal advisor from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, who assured him that the issue with the heirs would be resolved in 6 months. Could Parker's decision to close his mine hide something more than just gold? Is there something deeper at play? Tell us what you think, and don't forget to like on and subscribe for more.